Captain Lisa Morgan stood on the bridge of the Starlight Pioneer and watched the stars pass by through the wide viewing window. She had been in space for 15 years now and still loved the quiet beauty of deep space. Her ship was not the biggest or fastest in the human fleet, but it was reliable, and her crew trusted her completely. The bridge was calm that morning. Amanda Foster sat at her tactical station checking weapon systems, even though they were far from any danger. Katie Ross worked at the science station, scanning nearby star systems for anything interesting. Nicole Davis was in the medical bay below, but Lisa could hear her humming through the comm system. Lisa liked her crew. They had been together for 3 years and worked well as a team. Amanda was tough and smart about fighting, but also made everyone laugh with her jokes. Katie loved learning about new planets and stars and could explain complicated science in ways everyone could understand. Nicole took care of everyone's health and always had kind words when someone felt worried or scared. The Starlight Pioneer was exploring the outer edge of the Andromeda sector. Earth Command had sent them to look for new planets that humans might want to live on someday. It was peaceful work most of the time. They would find empty worlds and take pictures and samples. Sometimes they found planets with simple life like plants or small animals. Lisa enjoyed this kind of mission because it felt like real exploration. Amanda suddenly looked up from her station with a confused expression. She pressed some buttons and listened carefully to her headset. Then she turned to Lisa with a worried, "Look, Captain, I am picking up a distress signal," Amanda said. "It is very weak, but it sounds like someone asking for help." Lisa walked over to Amanda's station and looked at the display screen. The signal was indeed very faint and seemed to be coming from a star system that was not on any of their maps. Katie heard them talking and came over to look too. "That system is not supposed to have any intelligent life," Katie said while checking her records. "Our long-range scans from Earth showed it had some planets but no signs of civilization." "Maybe the scans missed something," Lisa said. "How far away is the signal coming from?" Amanda worked on her instruments for a few minutes. "About 6 hours at maximum speed, Captain. The signal keeps repeating the same message, but I cannot understand the language." Lisa thought about what to do. Their mission was to explore empty systems and avoid contact with alien races unless Earth Command gave specific orders. But someone was asking for help, and ignoring a distress call felt wrong to her. "Katie, can you learn anything more about that star system?" Lisa asked. Katie went back to her station and started working with her computers. After 20 minutes, she called Lisa over to see what she had found. "Captain, the system has 5 planets," Katie said. "The third planet is the right distance from the star to support life like Earth. I can detect what looks like cities and forests from here. There are definitely people living there." "Any signs of spaceships or advanced technology?" Lisa asked. "Hard to tell from this distance, but I do not see any ships in space around the planet. If they have space travel, they are not using it much right now." Lisa made her decision. "Amanda set course for that system maximum speed. Nicole, please come to the bridge." Nicole arrived a few minutes later looking curious. Lisa explained about the distress signal and their plan to investigate. Nicole nodded and went to prepare the medical bay in case they found injured people. The 6-hour journey felt much longer than usual. The distress signal got stronger as they got closer, and Amanda was able to pick up more details. It definitely sounded like someone asking for help, but the language was completely unknown. Katie kept scanning the planet and found more signs of cities and what looked like farms and roads. When they finally arrived at the planet, Lisa was amazed by what she saw. The world was beautiful with blue oceans and green continents. The cities were built among tall trees and seemed to blend perfectly with the natural forests. It looked like the people who lived there cared deeply about keeping their world clean and healthy. But something was very wrong. Katie's scans showed that many of the cities were damaged or burning. There were several large alien ships in orbit around the planet, and they did not look friendly. These ships were dark and covered with weapons. They were firing energy beams down at the planet's surface. "Captain, those ships are attacking the planet," Amanda said with anger in her voice. "The people down there are under attack." Lisa felt sick as she watched the destruction happening below. The beautiful cities were being destroyed by the alien warships. The distress signal was coming from people who were fighting for their lives. "Katie, what can you tell me about those attacking ships?" Lisa asked. Katie worked quickly with her scanners. "Captain, they are Vorthak Empire vessels. The Vorthak are known for attacking weaker races and either enslaving them or wiping them out completely. There are 12 ships down there, and they have been bombing the planet for at least 2 days. Lisa knew about the Vorthak from intelligence reports. They were a cruel race that believed only the strong deserved to live. They had conquered dozens of worlds, and the Galactic Council usually ignored their attacks on primitive planets. What about the people being attacked? Lisa asked. Can you identify their race? Katie spent several minutes studying her readings. Captain, I think they are Elthera. They are sometimes called space elves by other races. Intelligence reports say they are peaceful and have advanced knowledge of biology and natural sciences, but do not build many weapons or warships. Lisa stared at the burning planet below and felt anger growing in her chest. These peaceful people were being slaughtered, and no one was coming to help them. The Galactic Council would probably ignore this attack just like they ignored all the others. The Starlight Pioneer was just one small exploration ship against 12 Vorthak warships. Any sane captain would send a report to Earth Command and leave the system immediately. But Lisa could not watch innocent people die when she had the power to help them. Amanda scanned those Vorthak ships and find their weak points, Lisa said firmly. Katie, try to contact the people on the planet. Tell them that humans are here to help. Nicole, prepare for casualties. Her crew looked surprised, but they immediately started following her orders. Lisa knew she was probably making the biggest mistake of her career, but she could not live with herself if she ran away from this fight. Lisa stared at the communication screen as the face of Admiral Roberts appeared. His expression was stern, and his voice carried the authority of Earth Command. Behind him, she could see the familiar blue and silver walls of military headquarters. Back on Earth. Captain Morgan, you are ordered to withdraw from that system immediately, Admiral Roberts said in a cold tone. You have no authority to engage in combat with the Vorthak Empire. Return to your original mission at once. Lisa took a deep breath before responding. She had expected this reaction from Earth Command, but it still hurt to hear it. Admiral, with respect, there are innocent people dying down here. The Vorthak are committing genocide against a peaceful race. That is not our concern, Captain, the Admiral replied. Humanity cannot afford to make enemies of the Vorthak over some primitive aliens. You will withdraw now or face court-martial. Charges! The communication ended, and Lisa found herself staring at a blank screen. Her bridge crew had heard every word, and they all looked at her with worried expressions. She knew they would follow her orders, but she also knew what those orders might cost them. Captain, what are your orders? Amanda asked quietly. Lisa looked around at her crew and felt proud of them. They were scared, but they were ready to do what was right even if it meant the end of their careers. She made her decision with a clear conscience. We stay and fight, Lisa said firmly. Amanda, send coded messages to Captains Santos Williams and Clark. Tell them what is happening here and ask for their help. Use the old resistance channels from our academy days. Amanda smiled as she started sending the secret messages. During their time at the Naval Academy, Lisa and several other cadets had formed unofficial communication networks for sharing information that Command did not want them to have. Those networks still worked and connected captains who believed in doing the right thing over following bad orders. Katie had been working to establish contact with the planet's surface and finally succeeded. The main screen showed the face of an Elthera woman with long silver hair and glowing blue eyes. She looked tired and afraid, but her voice remained calm and dignified. I am Lyrelai Moonwhisper of the Elthera Council, the woman said. We are grateful that someone has finally heard our calls for help. The Vorthak have been attacking us for 3 days and our defenses are failing. This is Captain Lisa Morgan of the human vessel Starlight Pioneer, Lisa replied. We are here to help. You fight the Vorthak. Can you tell us about your military capabilities? Lyrelai looked surprised that aliens would offer to help them fight. We have some defensive weapons and shields around our cities, but we are not a warlike people, Captain Morgan. Our strength lies in healing and growing things, not in destroying them. We have brave warriors, but they cannot fight warships with only ground weapons. Lisa studied the tactical displays that Amanda had prepared. The Vorthak ships were powerful, but they were old designs that had weaknesses. If she could get close enough, the Starlight Pioneer might be able to damage them seriously. Lyrelai. We are going to attack the Vorthak ships and try to drive them away from your planet, Lisa said. But we will need your help. Do you have any way to shield our ship or provide covering fire? Our city shields can be extended upward into space for short periods, Lyrelay replied, and we have some orbital defense platforms that are still working. They are not powerful, but they might distract the Vorthak while you attack. Over the next few hours, Lisa worked with Lyrelay and her military advisor, Seraphina Starweaver, to plan their attack. Seraphina was young for an Aelthera, but she had studied warfare and understood tactics well. She had bright green eyes and spoke with confidence about their defensive capabilities. Amanda received responses to her coded messages, and the news was better than Lisa had hoped. 3 other human captains were willing to come and help despite the orders from Earth Command. Captain Maria Santos commanded a heavy cruiser called the Aurora's Edge. Captain Beth Williams had the destroyer Iron Resolve. Captain Diana Clark commanded the medical frigate Healing Light. They will be here in 18 hours, Amanda reported. Captain Santos says she never liked the Vorthak anyway, and Captain Williams wants to test her new weapons systems against real targets. Lisa felt relief knowing that help was coming, but 18 hours was a long time. The Vorthak bombardment was getting worse, and Katie's scans showed that several Elthera cities had already been completely destroyed. We cannot wait for reinforcements, Lisa decided. Amanda, prepare for attack, target the lead Vorthak ship, and focus all our firepower on their engine section. The Starlight Pioneer was not built for combat, but it did have defensive weapons and good shields. Lisa flew the ship down toward the planet's surface, using the gravity well to build up speed for their attack run. The Vorthak ships detected them coming, but seemed amused that one small human vessel would dare to challenge them. The lead Vorthak ship fired warning shots that missed the Starlight Pioneer by several hundred meters. Lisa ignored the warning and continued her attack approach. At the last moment, she ordered Amanda to fire all weapons, and the ship's energy beams struck the Vorthak vessel's engine section. The attack caused significant damage, and the Vorthak ship began to drift out of control. But the other 11 ships immediately turned their weapons toward the small human vessel and began firing with deadly intent. Lisa threw the ship into evasive maneuvers as energy blasts filled the space around them. The Elthera orbital platforms opened fire on the Vorthak ships, providing some distraction, but their weapons were too weak to cause serious damage. Shields down to 60%, Amanda reported as another energy blast struck their ship. We cannot take many more hits like that, Captain. Just when things looked hopeless, the Elthera city shields suddenly extended upward into space, creating a protective barrier around the Starlight Pioneer. The Vorthak weapons fire struck the blue energy field and was absorbed harmlessly. Thank you, Lyrelay, Lisa said into her communicator. How long can you maintain those shields? Not long, Captain, came the reply. This is draining our city's power reserves very quickly. You have perhaps 10 minutes before we must lower the shields or risk losing life support for our people. Lisa realized they needed a new strategy. Fighting 12 warships with one exploration vessel was suicide, even with the temporary protection of the Elthera shields. But she was not willing to give up and abandon these people to their fate. Katie scanned the Vorthak formation and look for weaknesses, Lisa ordered. Amanda, prepare our emergency escape pods. If we are going to go down fighting, I want to make sure our crew survives. Captain, I have an idea. Seraphina's voice came through the communicator. Our people have weapons that might help you, but someone would need to come down to the planet to get them. They are bio-organic devices that work with living beings, not machines. Lisa made another quick decision. Amanda, you and Katie take a shuttle down to the surface. Learn about these bio-weapons and see if they can help us. Nicole and I will keep the ship fighting until you return or until the reinforcements arrive. Amanda and Katie left for the shuttle bay, while Lisa continued flying evasive patterns inside the protective shield barrier. The Vorthak ships were getting frustrated and were beginning to target the shield generators on the planet's surface. Time was running out for both the Starlight Pioneer and the Elthara people below. But Lisa had made her choice, and she would not back down now. Even if Earth Command court-martialed her, and even if she died in this battle, she knew she was doing the right thing. Sometimes protecting innocent people was more important than following orders or staying safe. The reinforcements would arrive soon, and then they would show the Vorthak that humanity did not abandon its friends. Amanda and Katie stepped out of their shuttle onto the surface of the Elthera homeworld and immediately felt amazed by what they saw. Even with the ongoing war, the planet was incredibly beautiful. Tall trees with silver bark reached toward the sky, and their leaves glowed softly with blue and green light. The Elthera cities were built among these trees without cutting them down, and the buildings seemed to grow naturally from the forest floor. Seraphina Starweaver met them at the shuttle landing pad. She was younger than most Elthera leaders, but carried herself with confidence and grace. Her long silver hair was braided with small flowers, and her green eyes showed both wisdom and determination. "Welcome to Silvereth," Seraphina said with a slight bow. "I wish you could see our world in peacetime when it is truly beautiful. Now we must focus on saving what remains." She led them through the forest city toward the armory where the bioweapons were stored. Along the way, Amanda and Katie saw Elthara, civilians helping with the war effort. Children who looked no older than 10 were growing special plants that could heal wounded soldiers. Elderly Elthera were weaving energy shields from what looked like spider silk, but glowed with inner light. "Your people are amazing," Katie said as she watched an Elthera woman sing to a tree and cause it to grow healing fruit in seconds. "How do you make plants and trees respond to your will?" "It is not about controlling nature," Seraphina explained. "We work together with all living things. When we ask the trees for help, they give it willingly, because they know we will protect them in return. This is why the Vorthak attacks hurt us so deeply. They are destroying thousands of years of partnership between our people and our world." They reached the armory, which was built inside the trunk of an enormous tree. The walls pulsed gently with life, and Amanda realized the entire building was alive. Inside, they found weapons unlike anything she had ever seen. The guns looked like they were grown rather than manufactured, and they felt warm to the touch. "These are symbiont weapons," Seraphina explained as she picked up one of the strange guns. "They bond with the user and become part of them during combat. A human could use them, but only if the weapon chooses to accept you." Amanda carefully took one of the bioguns and immediately felt it respond to her touch. The weapon seemed to learn about her through contact with her skin, and after a few moments it began to glow with soft light. "It likes you," Seraphina said with a smile. "That is very rare. Most weapons will only bond with Elthara users. Your spirit must be compatible with our way of thinking." Katie found a scanning device that also seemed to be alive. When she held it, the organic computer began showing her information about Vorthak ship designs and their weaknesses. The biotechnology was far more advanced than anything humans had developed, but it felt natural and easy to use. "We need to get these weapons up to Captain Morgan," Amanda said. "But first, can you teach me how to use this gun properly?" Seraphina spent the next hour training Amanda in the use of symbiont weapons. The gun could fire different types of energy depending on what the situation required. It could shoot healing beams to repair damaged equipment or deadly plasma bolts to destroy enemies. The weapon learned from each shot and became more accurate over time. Meanwhile, Katie worked with Elthera scientists to understand their biocomputers. She discovered that the organic technology could interface with human computer systems and share information in ways that normal machines could not. The biocomputers seemed to think and feel rather than just process data. A communication came through from Lisa on the Starlight Pioneer. "Amanda, we have a problem up here. The Vorthak are targeting the shield generators, and our reinforcements are still 6 hours away. We need those new weapons now." "On our way, Captain," Amanda replied. "And we are bringing some Elthera volunteers who know how to use this technology." Seraphina gathered a team of 12 Elthera warriors who were willing to board the human ship and fight alongside them. These warriors wore living armor that could adapt to different threats and carried symbiont weapons that had bonded with them since childhood. The shuttle trip back to the Starlight Pioneer was dangerous because the Vorthak ships were now firing at anything that moved between the planet and space. But Katie had learned to use the biocomputers to predict where the enemy shots would go, and she was able to guide their pilot Amanda through the weapon fire safely. When they docked with the Starlight Pioneer, Lisa immediately noticed how different Amanda and Katie seemed. They moved with more confidence, and their eyes had a slight glow that reminded her of the Elthera. The symbiont weapons and biocomputers had changed them in subtle ways. "Captain, the Elthera technology is incredible," Katie reported excitedly. "These biocomputers can predict enemy movements and find weaknesses in their ships that our regular scanners would never detect." Lisa welcomed the Elthera warriors aboard and was impressed by their calm professionalism. Even though they were Fighting for their lives and their homeworld, they showed no signs of panic or hatred toward their enemies. Serafina explained that her people believed violence should only be used to protect life, never to destroy it unnecessarily. Nicole came up from the medical bay where she had been working with Elthara healers who had come aboard with the warriors. "Captain, their medical knowledge is amazing," she said with wonder in her voice. "They can heal injuries that would take our doctors weeks to repair. And they are teaching me techniques I never imagined were possible." The first test of the combined human-Elthara technology came when 3 Vorthak ships broke away from the main group and attacked the Starlight Pioneer directly. Amanda used her new symbiont weapon to target their shield generators, while Katie used the biocomputers to predict their attack patterns. The results were incredible. The Starlight Pioneer was able to dodge enemy fire with perfect timing while hitting the Vorthak ships in exactly the right places to cause maximum damage. Within minutes, all 3 attacking ships were disabled and drifting helplessly in space. "How did we do that?" Lisa asked in amazement. "We just outfought 3 ships that should have been able to destroy us easily." "The biotechnology learns and adapts," Serafina explained. "It is not just using our knowledge, but creating new knowledge, by combining human tactics with Elthara wisdom. Together, we are more than the sum of our parts." Over the next few hours, while they waited for reinforcements, the crew of the Starlight Pioneer and the Elthara warriors worked together to understand each other's capabilities. Lisa spent time with Lorelei learning about Elthara history and culture. She discovered that the Elthara had been spacefaring for thousands of years, but had always chosen exploration and scientific research over military conquest. Amanda and Serafina became close friends as they practiced combat techniques together. Amanda learned patience and careful observation from the Elthara way of fighting, while Serafina learned aggressive tactics and rapid decision-making from human military training. Nicole worked closely with the Elthara healers to set up a combined medical facility that could treat both human and Elthara wounded. She found that human surgical techniques worked very well with Elthara healing magic, and together they could save lives that neither could save alone. Katie spent her time with Elthara scientists learning how biotechnology worked at the most basic level. She discovered that the organic computers were actually living creatures that had evolved to process information and solve problems. They were partners rather than tools, and they enjoyed working with intelligent beings who treated them with respect. When the reinforcements finally arrived, Lisa felt confident that they could win this battle. The Aurora's Edge, the Iron Resolve, and the Healing Light took up positions around the planet, while the Starlight Pioneer shared everything they had learned about fighting with biotechnology. Captain Maria Santos was impressed when she saw the combat effectiveness of the human Elthara team. "Lisa, your people are fighting like they have been working together for years instead of hours," she said over the communication system. Captain Beth Williams was more direct in her approval. "I do not know what kind of magic you have learned down there, but my weapons officers want to learn it too," she said with a laugh. The Vorthak ships seemed confused by the sudden change in human fighting ability. They had expected to easily defeat one small exploration ship, but instead found themselves facing an enemy that could predict their moves and strike at their weaknesses with deadly accuracy. As the battle continued, Lisa realized that something important was happening beyond just a military victory. Humans and Elthara were learning to work together in ways that neither race had thought possible. They were becoming something new and stronger than either could be alone. The bonds being forged in this battle would change both races forever. The alarm on the bridge of the Starlight Pioneer began screaming as Katie's biocomputer detected massive energy signatures approaching the star system. Lisa rushed to the scanner displays and felt her heart sink when she saw what was coming toward them. "Captain, we have a big problem," Katie said with fear in her voice. "Long-range sensors are detecting over 200 Vorthak ships approaching. They will be here in 6 hours. Lisa stared at the tactical display showing the enormous enemy fleet. Their little group of 4 human ships and the handful of Elthara orbital platforms would be completely overwhelmed. Even with their new biotechnology and improved fighting abilities, they could not possibly win against such overwhelming numbers. "Send a message to Earth Command," Lisa ordered. "Tell them we need immediate reinforcements or this entire system will fall to the Vorthak." Amanda worked at her communication station for several minutes before turning back to Lisa with a grim expression. Captain Earth Command is refusing to send any help. Admiral Roberts says we are on our own because we disobeyed direct orders to withdraw. The bridge fell silent as everyone realized what this meant. They were abandoned by their own government and facing an enemy force that could destroy them easily. Lisa felt anger and disappointment toward Earth Command, but she also felt proud of her crew and their allies who had chosen to stay and fight for what was right. Lyra Lay's face appeared on the main communication screen. The Althera leader looked tired and sad, but her voice remained calm and dignified. Captain Morgan, we have received word from other star systems that the Galactic Council has issued a statement about this conflict. What did they say? Lisa asked, though she already feared. The answer. They declared that any race interfering with legitimate Vorthak territorial expansion will face economic sanctions and possible military action, Lyra Lay replied. The Council considers our world to be rightfully claimed by the Vorthak Empire. Lisa felt sick to her stomach. Not only was Earth abandoning them, but the entire galactic government was supporting the Vorthak invasion. The peaceful Althera were being written off as acceptable casualties in the name of political stability. Lyra Lay, we are not giving up, Lisa said firmly. Even if the whole galaxy turns against us, we will keep fighting for your people. Captain Maria Santos contacted Lisa from the Aurora's edge. Lisa, my crew is with you, but I have to tell you that some of our ship's crews are getting nervous. Earth Command has officially disavowed us and declared that we are no longer part of the human fleet. Captain Beth Williams added her own concerns. My tactical officer is reporting that his family, back on Earth, received a visit from military investigators asking about his loyalty to humanity. They are putting pressure on our families to make us abandon this fight. Lisa realized that the Vorthak were not just using military force, but psychological warfare as well. They wanted to break the human crew's morale by threatening their loved ones back home. It was a cruel but effective strategy. Over the next few hours, while they waited for the main Vorthak fleet to arrive, the situation on the planet's surface became desperate. The bombing intensified, and many of the beautiful forest cities were completely destroyed. Katie's biocomputers showed that millions of Althera civilians had already been killed or captured. Serafina came to the bridge of the Starlight Pioneer with tears in her green eyes. Captain, the sacred groves of our ancestors are being targeted. Specifically, the Vorthak are not just trying to conquer us, they are trying to erase our entire culture and history. Nicole had been working around the clock in the medical bay, treating wounded Althera refugees who had been brought up from the planet. Lisa, we are running out of medical supplies, and the injuries are getting worse. The Vorthak are using weapons designed to cause maximum suffering rather than quick death. The worst news came when Liralai was badly injured while defending the capital city from a ground assault. She had been leading the defense personally when a Vorthak bomb exploded near her position. Nicole and the Althera healers worked together to save her life, but she remained unconscious and in critical condition. Without Lyra Lay to coordinate our defenses, our people are losing hope, Serafina told Lisa. She was the symbol of our resistance, and now many think the fight is hopeless. Lisa knew they needed a dramatic victory to restore morale, but she also knew that when the main Vorthak fleet arrived, they would be outnumbered 50-1. No amount of biotechnology or tactical skill could overcome such odds. Amanda had been studying the biocomputer's predictions about the coming battle, and she came to Lisa with a desperate plan. Captain, I think we might be able to damage their command ship if we can get close enough. The biocomputers have identified their fleet. Commander, as War Admiral Krexthul and his flagship, has some design weaknesses we could exploit. What kind of weaknesses? Lisa asked. Their command ships are built for intimidation and firepower, not defense, Amanda explained. If we could get a small team aboard, we might be able to sabotage their main computers and disable the ship. Without their commander, the rest of the fleet might retreat. It was a suicide mission, and everyone knew it. Getting close to the enemy flagship would require flying through the defensive fire of dozens of warships. Even if they succeeded in boarding the ship, they would probably be killed before they could complete their sabotage mission. I will lead the boarding party, Serafina volunteered. My warriors know the Vorthak ship designs, and we have bioweapons that can interface with their computer systems. And I will pilot the assault shuttle, Amanda added. I know our ships better than anyone, and I can get us through their defenses. Lisa felt torn between pride in her crew's courage and fear for their safety. But she also knew this might be their only chance to strike a meaningful blow against the enemy. When the main Vorthak fleet finally arrived, it was even more terrifying than the scanner readings had suggested. The ships filled space around the planet like a dark cloud of death and destruction. The flagship was enormous and bristled with weapons that could destroy entire cities with single shots. War Admiral Krexthul contacted them on an open communication channel. His face was reptilian and cruel, with yellow eyes that showed no mercy or compassion. When he spoke, his voice carried the arrogance of someone who had never known defeat. "Human insects, you have interfered with Vorthak expansion for the last time," he said with contempt. "Surrender now, and we will make your deaths quick. Continue to resist, and we will hunt down your families on Earth and make them suffer for your foolishness." Lisa responded with calm dignity, even though her heart was racing with fear and anger. "This is Captain Lisa Morgan of the human fleet. We do not surrender to bullies and murderers. The Aelthara are under our protection, and we will defend them with our lives." Krexthul laughed with genuine amusement. "Your protection means nothing, insect. Watch as we demonstrate the price of defying the Vorthak Empire." The bombardment that followed was unlike anything they had seen before. Hundreds of energy beams struck the planet's surface simultaneously, and entire continents began to burn. The remaining Aelthara cities were destroyed within minutes, and their orbital defense platforms were vaporized by the massive firepower. Lisa watched in horror as thousands of years of Aelthara civilization disappeared before her eyes. The beautiful forests burned and the crystal cities crumbled into dust. It was genocide on a scale that defied comprehension. But even in this darkest moment, Lisa refused to give up hope. The boarding mission was still possible, and if they could eliminate Krexthul, they might still save some of the Aelthara people. Sometimes, when everything seemed lost, a single act of courage could change the course of history. The final battle was about to begin. Lisa stood in the shuttle bay of the Starlight Pioneer watching Amanda and Serafina make final preparations for their suicide mission. The assault shuttle had been modified with biotechnology that would help it avoid enemy sensors, but everyone knew the chances of success were very small. Amanda checked her symbiont weapon one last time while Serafina gathered her team of 8 Aelthara warriors. These brave volunteers knew they were probably going to die, but their faces showed determination rather than fear. They were fighting for the survival of their entire race. "Captain, we are ready to launch," Amanda reported. "The biocomputers have calculated the best approach route to the enemy flagship. We will have about 15 minutes before they detect us." Lisa wanted to order them to stay safe, but she knew this mission was their only hope. Instead, she clasped Amanda's hand and looked into her eyes. "Bring our people home, Lieutenant," she said simply. The shuttle launched and immediately began its dangerous journey toward the massive Vorthak flagship. Lisa returned to the bridge where Katie was monitoring their progress with the biocomputers. Nicole was in the medical bay preparing for the casualties that would surely come. "Captain, I am detecting unusual energy readings from the planet's surface," Katie reported. "Something is happening in the Heartwood region where the last Aelthara survivors have gathered." On the main screen, Lisa could see that the survivors had retreated to an ancient forest where the oldest and largest trees on the planet grew. These massive trees had silver bark that glowed with soft light, and their roots stretched deep into the planet's core. Lairelay's voice came through the communication system. She had awakened from her injuries just in time for the final battle. "Captain Morgan, the Heartwood is not just a forest. It is a living defense system that our ancestors created thousands of years ago, but activating it requires a great sacrifice." "What kind of sacrifice?" Lisa asked. "The Heartwood responds to pure intent and selfless courage," Lairelay explained. "Someone must willingly give their life to awaken the ancient defenses, and even then, it might destroy everyone nearby when it activates." Lisa realized what Lairelay was suggesting. If the Heartwood could be activated, it might provide the power needed to defeat the Vorthak fleet, but the cost would be enormous, and there was no guarantee it would work. Meanwhile, Amanda and Serafina were fighting their way through the corridors of the Vorthak flagship. Their bioweapons were incredibly effective against the enemy soldiers, but the ship was enormous and heavily defended. They had to reach the main computer core before reinforcements arrived. "Amanda, we are running out of time," Serafina said as they fought through another group of Vorthak guards. "My warriors can hold this corridor, but you and I must reach the core alone." They left the other Elthera fighters to delay the pursuing enemies while they rushed toward the heart of the ship. The biocomputers guided them through the maze of corridors and past numerous security systems. When they finally reached the computer core, they found War Admiral Krexthul waiting for them with a squad of his elite guards. The reptilian commander smiled cruelly as he raised his energy weapon. "Did you really think you could defeat me with such a simple plan?" he hissed. "I have been expecting you insects ever since your shuttle left your ship. You will die slowly for daring to board my vessel." The battle that followed was fierce and desperate. Amanda and Serafina fought with everything they had learned about combining human tactics with Elthera bioweapons. Their symbiont guns adapted to each threat, and their biocomputers predicted enemy movements with perfect accuracy. But Krexthul was the experienced warrior, and his guards were some of the most dangerous soldiers in the Vorthak Empire. The fight seemed hopeless until Serafina made a desperate sacrifice. She threw herself between Amanda and Krexthul's energy blast, taking the fatal shot that was meant for her human friend. "Amanda, complete the mission," Serafina whispered as she fell. "Let my people's sacrifice mean something." With tears streaming down her face, Amanda fought her way to the computer core and connected her biocomputer to the Vorthak systems. The organic technology immediately began corrupting their military networks and shutting down critical ship functions. On the planet's surface, Lisa made the hardest decision of her life. She ordered the Starlight Pioneer to land in the Heartwood and prepared to activate the ancient defense system, knowing it would probably kill her and her entire crew. "Captain, you do not have to do this," Nicole said as they descended toward the glowing forest. "There might be another way to win this battle." "There is no other way," Lisa replied. "Too many innocent people have already died while we hesitated. If our sacrifice can save the Elthera, then it is worth it." But as they landed among the ancient trees, something unexpected happened. Lirelai contacted them with excitement in her voice. "Captain, the Heartwood is responding to your intent, but not demanding your death. It senses that you are fighting for others rather than yourselves, and that changes everything." The massive trees began to glow brighter as their root systems connected with the biotechnology from the human ships. The organic computers merged with the ancient forest network, creating something entirely new and incredibly powerful. Energy beams erupted from the planet's surface and struck the Vorthak ships with devastating effect. But these were not weapons of destruction like the enemy used. The bioenergy beams disabled the ships without killing their crews and began converting their technology to serve life rather than death. Amanda's sabotage of the flagship, combined with the Heartwood's awakening, created a cascade effect throughout the Vorthak fleet. Ship after ship lost power and drifted helplessly as their computer systems were overwhelmed by the biotechnology network. War Admiral Krexthul died when his own ship's systems turned against him, but the rest of his fleet was merely disabled. The Elthera and humans had won without becoming the same kind of killers as their enemies. In the weeks that followed, the victory at Silvereth became famous throughout the galaxy. The Galactic Council was forced to recognize both the Elthera and humanity as major powers after seeing their incredible combined technology. Earth Command quietly welcomed Lisa and her crew back as heroes while taking credit for the brilliant, strategic operation. Admiral Roberts never admitted he had been wrong, but he did promote Lisa to Admiral and gave her command of the new Biotechnology Research Division. More importantly, the Human Elthera Alliance became the foundation for a new coalition of smaller races who refused to be bullied by empires like the Vorthak. The biotechnology they had developed together made it possible for peaceful races to defend themselves without becoming warlike. Serafina survived her injuries and became the first Elthera to graduate from Earth's Naval Academy. Amanda was appointed as the first human ambassador to Silvereth, where she worked to strengthen the bonds between their two peoples. Katie and Nicole continued their research into biotechnology and made discoveries that revolutionized both medicine and computer science. The organic computers they developed became partners with their users rather than simple tools. Years later, when new human-elf colony ships launched toward unexplored systems, they carried a message of hope. In a vast galaxy that often seemed cruel and indifferent, there would always be those who chose to protect the forgotten and defend the innocent. The light of courage and compassion would endure as long as beings were willing to sacrifice for each other rather than themselves. The victory at Silvereth proved that even the smallest acts of kindness could change the course of history when people chose to do what was right rather than what was easy. Lisa stood on the bridge of her new flagship, watching the stars and remembering that first day when they heard the distress call. She had made the right choice then, and she would make the same choice again. Some things were more important than following orders or staying safe. Protecting the innocent and standing up for the powerless would always be worth any risk.